Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you make a cuppa. I've realised I've never actually introduced myself in these podcast episodes. So my name is Emma Cossey and I am a coach for freelancers, and I create loads of content to make freelancing easier, whether it's people who are thinking about going freelance to those that have been freelancing for a long time but are maybe feeling a bit stuck, or the things that they used to do aren't working anymore. I work with lots and lots of different clients. So I thought it might be useful to share some of the things that I would love people to know about coaching. And it might bust a few myths that you might have about coaching. So I'm going to start off with the first one. And that is that coaching is not really a quick fix. It's not like, this is not a good example because accounting is not a quick fix, but it's not like if you struggle with your accounts, get an accountant, they will do it for you. Coaching is designed as almost like a collaboration. As a coach, I create a space when you join a call, when we meet up, where we can talk solely about you and your business. And that can really throw people initially because they're so used to playing conversational tennis. It can be really strange to have a whole hour or 2 hours or even half a day dedicated to talking about you and your business. But a coaching session is designed to basically give you structure and a space to think about things. There's exercises that we can do and all sorts of different things. But it also needs to be a collaboration in that we can come up with the most incredible goals that are super practical and easy to achieve, or very achievable, even if they're not easy, in the session. But it's still up to the client to then go away and action that. And there are lots of ways I help clients in terms of things like, I do like a Voxer accountability where I check in with people Mondays and Fridays to see how they're getting on, things like that. So there are definitely things I can help people with, but the work still needs to happen after the session. It's not just the excitement of the session. I'm also fully aware that sometimes it's very exciting to create beautiful plans and then all the dopamine has gone to actually achieve them. So that is something I do build into sessions to, what do you do when the excitement runs out, basically. The second thing I'd love you to know is, or I think it's useful to know, is that the initial goals that you might come to me with, or the initial problem, might not be the one we actually tackle, because quite often in coaching, you might come with one particular issue and then we will uncover something else that is the foundation of that issue, or something else completely different. So it might be, you might come in and say, I'm really struggling to find clients, but actually finding clients is not the problem. It might be confidence. It might be imposter syndrome. It might be that negative voice in your head that comes from, a parent or a teacher or anything like that. And we need to do the deep work first before we can then do the practical stuff. So it is worth going into a coaching session with an open mind, because sometimes what you think is the problem is not necessarily what's going to make a big impact later on. And you need to dig a little bit deeper. And I should also mention coaching and therapy, not the same thing. Coaching and counselling, not the same thing. Coaching and mentoring, not the same thing. Coaching is not me telling what to do. I can share resources with you and point you in directions of things, but it's not you come into a session and I say, do this, this, and this, because that is probably a mentor, and it wouldn't necessarily be diving very deep into the psychological side of things, because that would be more a therapist or a counsellor or a psychotherapist. Coaching is more about the here and now, but also uncovering some of the emotional elements without going extremely deep. So I just want to make it clear that they're not the same. And mentoring is very much, there's a lot of people confused with the difference between a coach and a mentor. Mentors are people that give advice based on their own experience. Coaches are people who ask questions for you to find the perfect answer for you, which kind of brings me on the next one, which is that you already have the answers in you. You just haven't teased them out, or the coach's job is to tease them out. And that probably doesn't make sense. But what I'm saying is, if somebody gives you advice, that advice is tailored to their own experience, their own values, everything like that. If I give advice, the same is going to be the situation. if we're able to get to a point where you can devise a plan based solely on your experiences and your opinions and your values, you're much more likely to achieve that. So I do definitely have sessions with people that are a mix of mentoring and coaching, where people want ideas for how to pitch and things like that. That's absolutely fine. But generally, the plan needs to come from you, with me giving you the space to do that. Because if I tell you what to do, it's not going to be as effective as if you have devise the perfect plan. And that's where the questioning comes in, where we ask the right questions and exercises and dig a little deeper and really find out your why. It's a collaborative effect, but the best advice you will take is your own advice. So that's something that when we go into it, it's something that I don't want you to ever feel like you're coming into a session and I'm going to tell you some cookie cutter way of doing things. It's not like that at all. Which brings me to the next one. What works for one client may not work for another. And I'm very conscious of this because I have a very neurodiverse client base. I've got neurotypical clients. I've got clients with autism. I've got clients with ADHD and lots of other areas of neurodiversity like dyslexia and dyspraxia and things like that. Anxiety, depression. And what works for one client will not work at all for another. So, for example, some of my clients love accountability. It works really well for them. They need lots of it built in. Other clients have PDA, which means they're kind of demand avoidant. So if I tell them what to do, or I say I'm giving you accountability, immediately they won't want to do it anymore. So then there might be more things involved, like me setting challenges or competitions or things like that. Equally, for some people, 90-day goals work well. For others, they prefer to have weekly goals or monthly goals or annual goals. So every client gets a different approach, and I try and find out as much as possible, both in the pre-questionnaire and also getting to know them. And there are certain exercises that I can do and frameworks, and coaching is designed to be very much tailored to each kind of person's learning style and abilities, and also energy levels and things like that as well. I'm definitely not a believer that everybody can do this whole idea of everybody gets the same 24 hours. No, that's not a thing, because everybody has different energy levels, responsibilities, capabilities, and needs and wants. And it's a ridiculous theory. So everybody has to have some kind of different ones. Fifth thing I want you to know, you don't need to dress up. You don't have to look fancy for a coaching session. I want you to be comfortable. And if you really don't want to be on camera, then that's why I have Voxer coaching, because you can just do it over voice chat. I do have clients who really don't like showing up on camera. I totally get it. And some clients also want the flexibility of being able to not be on a Zoom call, but be able to have Voxer coaching whilst they're walking back from the school run, or they're doing other things, or they're going for a walk or anything like that. That gives some flexibility. So you don't have to do the traditional way if you don't want to. Number 6, please don't apologise for going on tangents. I get this a lot. You don't have to apologise for going on a tangent, because actually the magic is often in the tangent. So if I feel like the whole thing is going off on a massive tangent and it's not helpful, I might guide you back gently. But generally, when people go off on tangents, it's because their brains are connecting dots and working things out. And actually, I find that really helpful for a lot of my clients, particularly my ADHD clients. But all of my clients, I'm very much for tangents, because I do think there's a lot of magic in those tangents. Just as long as it's not every week a tangent means that you don't achieve the goals that you want to achieve, then that's probably something I would pull you back a little bit, or maybe talk about the initial goal and work out why maybe you're kind of searching for procrastination or something else. But generally, don't apologise for going off on a tangent, because they are really useful. And finally, I'm not going to tell you off, and most coaches won't tell you off if you don't meet your goals, because if you haven't met your goals, it's either because something happened, the goal wasn't quite the right fit, the why wasn't there with the goal, the lifestyle factors happened. There's so many different reasons why, and actually all of this is data, basically. So if you haven't achieved a goal, then great. We can find out why. We can find out whether it's that something you actually want to do, whether there's something else we can try. It's all essentially an experiment, and we try different things, and there's no failure. There's just more data. So I just want you to know that I'm not going to tell. I keep people accountable if they want to, but I don't tell people off if they haven't achieved a goal, because there's usually a good reason and it can lead to something else really exciting. So those are a few of the things I wanted to tell you about coaching, just in case you're interested. You can go find out more about my coaching, freelancelifestyle.co.uk, and just head to the work with me section. And if you have any questions, do ping me a message. I'm never the kind of person that's like, okay, if you've messaged me, that means you're interested and I'm going to hard sell you. I love it when people ask questions, because that means they're getting really clear on what they want to do. So I hope that was useful. I hope you have a wonderful freelance week, and I will see you in the next episode.